流れる時の仲間叩く切な敵きらめきをこの世の記憶に刻むため歩き続けるビーバー捨てた譲れない想いこの胸にあってまだリアルイデアルの手触りが犠牲の風に足を取られても溢れる衝動を抑えきれない強く求める心があるから偽りをそれ今日食グレイそなたネガティブにとらわれるほど弱くも孤独も知れぬビッグサ突き刺すビールの群れ星ほど見えない空見上げ迷いはないかと自分に問いこの街中溢れるものにまみれうつつを消すようなことはないとつなげる道の果てでこの手につけるものを見ていけれ意識の海に浮かんで思い描く理想を手にするその時はこの世に向け枯れゆくだけは愚かに等しい他の誰もが持ち得ないもの自分自身という名の結晶へ綺麗事を突き通すこといつか過去とへ変わる
Vegeta, this was his idea. He wanted to talk about this because, look, I know most of us saw Nick Rekieta stream last night.
Yeah.
And I have to be honest with you. It was nothing but blaming the judge. There was no real information given. It was just all the judge made this mistake. The judge made that mistake. The judge screwed this up. Come on. You can't just say
the judge's fault.
Yeah, you can't just say it was all the judge. Okay? Ty Beard made a lot of mistakes. And I don't understand how just blaming the judge the whole night does anything. And then, oh my goodness, they had the revival empowerment hour where people just donate. I stand with Vic forever. I stand with Vic even if we lose. And I'm like, what the hell is this?
What?
This is group therapy. That's all it was group therapy.
You can't blame the judge when Ty went 0 for 11.
Well, I want to show y'all something from Ty Beard's Twitter. I want y'all to see this. Put this on the screen. Look at this. This is from his own shit. And look at this. This is what they saying. We still believe in you, but you need to stay off Nick's stream for a bit. And this person put definitely. Mr. Beard, I love you. How do you love this dude? You don't know him. That show you right there how radical and crazy the Stand With Vic movement is. You love a guy you ain't never met. But please bring your A game next time for the appeals. There go the A word again. Even though that's totally up to Vic Mignogna if he decides to appeal or not. Completely up to him. They already done decided that it's going on appeal. The people who have nothing to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
And this person put, and stay off Nick's streams, okay? Like, even they see it. Even his supporters see what the league has been saying. You need to stay up off that man's streams and get your work done.
Yeah, because it looks bad where you couldn't show evidence, and now everybody looking back like, well, you was sitting back chilling, saying that, well, we got this in the bag, and you on his streams. What were you doing? What was like? Were you really prepared for this? And then obviously you wasn't.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. That was a clip from a stream, someone commenting on the situation. Not unfair analysis. Very good at that. And yeah. So let's just dig right into it. Or dig into some of the things. As you all know, there was a hearing a couple weeks ago now concerning the motions to dismiss. For all those who were paying attention, it did not go very well at all. Ty Beard absolutely destroyed himself. He imploded. 12 of the 17 claims against the defendants. That is the defendants who Vic Mignogna alleges defamed him and did some other things. 12 of those claims against Vic Mignogna, they were dismissed from the bench by the judge. Of course, you wouldn't know that listening to Nick for the most part, because Nick's trying to get away from that hearing, trying to downplay it, trying to get away from it. But before I get into that, I will go into more of that in a moment, but there is something I need to address that caught my attention recently. Now, I wasn't aware of this at first until somebody told about it in the Discord. Specifically, two of Nick's groupies decided to tell me that Nick gave me a generous invite onto his show, and that I should be looking forward to it for this Friday. Let's see what he actually said. Let me just pull that up real quick. All right, let's put it right there.
I suppose I should extend the invitation on here because I don't think he was listening on Twitch when he was trying to peek in on the stream. John Michael Kelly, I have the feeling that you are actually a legitimate cuckold. And if you are, and you would like to talk to Drexel about getting fixed and becoming an actual man, rather than a cuckold on Friday, I would be interested in hearing your resume of cuckoldry, and I would consider putting you on the show so you can talk to Drexel directly about fixing your affliction.
Yeah, this is the serious invite to talk to Nick about the issues and have a debate about the matter of his GoFundMe and his schemy ways. No, that's bullshit. I'm not going on the show, Nick, to talk to your friend about cuckoldry. Like, you and him might be into that sort of shit, but I have no interest in bothering with that. If you want, though, you can come onto this platform and we can debate here. As I said, you've already barred me twice from ever going on your show. So, if you actually want to talk about things, how about you stop being an idiot and spurging out about me on streams that I'm not listening to, like this one, and actually come on here. By the way, I was in your Twitch chat, and I was fucking with you there. But no, I didn't hear that then. I wasn't paying attention to it 24/7. Monley says, you are just a coward. Nah, Nick's a coward. He's not. He's already said that I wasn't allowed on his show twice. He refuses to debate the issue with me. He already no-platformed pretty much all of Law Twitter. And he will not debate anyone who seriously objects to him about the Vic Mignogna case. And that's just a fact. So, no, Nick is the coward. And by the way, I've debated people from his side. I've won those debates as well. And there's not really... Who's the coward here? It's definitely Nick. That's all all there is to it. All right. But we're not here to talk about that. That was just a brief aside. A little bit of drama to keep things entertaining. Let's actually get into some of the stuff that's been being said lately. Originally, I was going to do like an overview over some of the claims that Vic has been making about the hearing itself. I might do that towards the end, but there's been a recent development in this case. After the hearing for the motions to dismiss on Friday, on the 7th, Friday the 6th, there was a follow-up to that. And it was another hearing. Let's see. Let's paste this here. Old Ty Beard thinks that this is good news for him. He says, and the second quarter begins. You know, going with his football analogy, hey, nobody should spike the football just yet. But no, this is not... Ty's take on this is not how it's happening. Let's try a more reliable source on this. Get a little bit more insight into the picture. We got this infamous article that I know that is being spread more. Got an update on the same day. That is the 17th. Update with details of Judge John Chupp ordering the two sides into mediation. Interesting. Let's read some more about this. On September 17th, 11 days after the hearing, Chupp called attorneys for both sides to his courtroom and ordered them to mediate by October 3rd. If mediation is not successful, he told the lawyers he would rule on all outstanding orders the following day. Chupp also handed out some of the threats of violence against him and others that were referred to him by the Fort Worth Police Department after his September 6th hearing. Well, that doesn't sound too good. She goes to the we're going to look at that the threats directly that he presented. So I'm just going to skip over this part. Chupp called on both sets of attorneys to refrain from inciting their supporters. What's he talking about there? It's really weird. Why would he have to say that? Well, fortunately, we actually have a transcript of what went down at that hearing, and we can actually judge for ourselves. But first, let's take a look at some of Nick's hot takes on this. It's all... Oh, look at this. Now, why would the judge call the mediation if he was prepared to throw the remaining charges out? It's all parties, not remaining parties. All of them. And then he goes, but what does he mean by that? Well, someone from the Kick Vic side responds, this is a really bad sign for Vic. All the motions are dismissed against Marshy. The only thing left to discuss is how big a sanction Vic has to pay her. That implies the whole mediation is just about mitigating how bad Vic's loss is going to be. Nick responds to this. Actually, the motions aren't dismissed against Marshy yet. What's he talking about here? That doesn't make any sense. Like, look right here. This Law Twitter guy, Tyler Wolf, calls him out. And it just quotes from the transcript of the hearing. Not the one we're about to read, but the one where the motions to the hearing on the 6th of September. If I may, just to be clear on the record, so all the causes of action are dismissed against Miss Marshy? Judge says yes. Now, I know Nick's a pathological has to lie to people in order to get by with his grifting scheme, but why would he tell a lie that's so stupid? I don't know. I guess Nick's audience is so susceptible to any kind of bullshit that they'll automatically take at face value whatever Nick has to say. But what if he's right? Maybe he is right. Let's actually take a look at the mediation for the. Let's actually take a look at that hearing that happened this Tuesday for a second. All right, just give me 1 second. Okay. Put that there. And then I'm going to scroll down a bit so we can read some more transcripts because that's always fun. All right. Switching back. Just give me 1 second. There we go. And and of course, this transcript is brought to you by the Threadnought. Yeah, I imagine Nick loves seeing these watermarked like that. I mean, it stopped him from showing this last time on his show. Judge says, I have handed all counsel of record some documents that were sent to me by the Sheriff's Department. And, like I said, I want y'all to be aware that this is out there, if you're not aware of it. I don't know if there was any potential threats to you as lawyers or your clients, but I think you need to be aware of it. I think there is a community out there, obviously, that is interested in this case. I think it might be. I mean, this isn't a TV show. This is real life stuff. This isn't an anime cartoon or something like that. And I don't know if people can distinguish between the two. So what I'm trying to say is that I think y'all may owe a duty to this community, since y'all's clients are a part of it, to try to get this case worked out. Is anybody opposed to trying to get this case worked out? Y'all can speak. She's typing. Ty says, no, Your Honor. This is also, I think, all Ty says. Smart move, because whenever he opened his mouth in the last hearing, he just shot himself right in the foot. Judge continues. Okay, there is a lawyer in town that handles some mediations that are a little more sensitive and deal with other issues other than just legal issues. I think this case deals with the things other than legal issues, obviously, because people are invested in it for some reason. Yeah, I like how he phrases it. He just says for some reason. It's so great. His name is David David, I can't pronounce this. David Sedler? David Sedler. So I'm going to order you to see David Sedler. I'll give you the information. And you need to do it before October 3rd. Because I still have to rule on the rest of the motions by October 6th, I believe, or 5th. The 3rd is a Thursday, so that will allow me to rule on Friday if y'all don't get this worked out. Is everybody still here? I mean, I don't remember who represents who. Who do you represent? Lemoyne says, Monica Rial and Ron Toye. Judge asks, and you are? Villani says, I'm Funimation, Your Honor. Judge says, you're Funimation? Okay. And this is where it gets good. Johnson says, I'm Jamie Marshy, Your Honor. Judge says, and you're Jamie Marshy. Okay. Okay. So y'all need to call David Sedler, set up something with him. Where are your offices? And then they go through their offices. I'm not going to bother reading that part. Okay, he may drive somewhere. I don't know, because y'all are coming from Tyler, right? Ty Beard says, yes, sir. Judge says, okay. He might meet y'all somewhere in Dallas. I don't know. If that makes it easier on you, you might ask him that. His address is not on here, but he's downtown. So here's an order. If you want to each get a copy, come on up. But again, just make sure your clients are aware of that this stuff is going on. And I don't want them to get hurt, or you guys to get hurt either, obviously. So just be aware of your surroundings. Johnson says, and, Your Honor, if I may, this includes Jamie Marshy. The court ruled to dismiss all of the claims against her. I just want to make sure that, Judge says, I mean, I think she should show up because there's no guarantee you're not going to be back here in 3 months on appeal. Okay, so this part here is interesting. The 3 months on appeal bit, but it might not be as interesting as some people are making it out to be, and I'll explain why after I read the whole thing. Johnson says, this is Jamie Marshy's attorney. I agree. The reason I asked, I have a vacation letter for next week on file, so just that was why I was asking. Well, somebody with settlement authority is all I'm asking for. So what law firm are you with? Johnson replies, I have my own firm, Your Honor. Judge says, oh, you do. Okay. Johnson adds, yes, but I have other counsel that works for us. Judge says, based upon her standing in the case, she may be in better position than some, but I mean, I think it happens to work out. You can do it by phone. I don't care. Johnson says, okay. Judge says, if you need to or have somebody else there be available or something. Johnson says, and I'll be back before the 3rd. Judge says, see what y'all can work out. Johnson adds, yes, sir. Judge says, I mean, there's no telling what the appellate court is going to do. Johnson says, right. Judge says, I rule and stuff, and sometimes they side with me, and sometimes they don't. And that's just the way it goes. I don't take it personally. That's just, they may have different feelings on stuff. But before I rule on the rest of it, I'd rather you try to get this worked out. I think y'all have the opportunity here to heal the community by doing something that y'all can all agree on, as opposed to having me do something. And then y'all having to appeal it and go through all that process. And it just comes back here again. I mean, this could go on years. I'd rather just obviously see the community of anime get healed and move on and do what you need to do. So that's all I needed. I just wanted to tell y'all in person because I thought it was rather serious with regards to, and I don't know what else, what all is out there. That's just what I given. And so there could be much more than that. I don't know. But just watch your back. Bullock says, thank you, Judge. Villani says, thank you. Judge says, all right. Y'all have a good day. All right, so let's go over some of the critical bits. Firstly, Nick is a moron and believes that because there's a mediation hearing, that means that Marshy's verdict will magically is up in the air now, and the judge will change his mind. Now, Nick is correct with one particular thing. The judge could change his mind, in theory. There's nothing stopping him from doing this. He has the power to do so. In fact, he continues to have the power to do so 30 days after his written verdict, which will happen on the 4th if the mediation doesn't go through. So, but here's the thing. There is zero indication whatsoever that Marshy will have her thing reversed. Period. The judge was clear. All of her charges against her were dismissed. And Nick just blatantly lying to his audience like this is just, well, for one thing, it's just dumb. Because, I suspect that maybe Nick's audience isn't as dumb as fruitcakes. I mean, I might joke about it, but they have to be smarter than that to believe Nick's wish casting is going to be working here. And secondly, it just shows the intent of the man that's going on with this campaign as well, having been caught in another lie like that. All he wants to do is make sure he can squeeze out as many shekels from his audience as possible. And that's all there is to it. Like, if he was just honest at this point, he would stop trying to hype this thing up. He'd downplay it. He'd try to move on to something else. I mean, at the very least, it wouldn't exonerate him or anything, but it would just show him he has a shred of dignity left, as opposed to all this, yeah, guys, we're going to make it to the appeals court. We're going to have this thing mediated, and we're going to make sure that everything works. No. There's also a couple of other things to note here. The fact that the judge has gone out of his way to address these threats and has told them that, told these lawyers, let me say, I believe that the fact that he told them that they have to, hang on, give me a second. I know that he said something along the lines of, just want to be sure here. Let's see. Okay, well, I know that the reason why he's bringing up these threats, the reason why he's making the mediation with the pretense of these threats, is because the threats are not coming from Kick Vic. That's just a fact. They're not. The Kick Vic has no reason to spurg out and get angry at the judge. Unless you want to say this 4D underwater MAGA, well, not MAGA, I guess in this case, but if you want to say this is all gay ops being performed by Kick Vic, you're free to believe that. I find that highly unlikely. But based on all the available evidence, yeah, this is I stand with Vic spurging out against the judge. And the reason, and this is a clear slight against Ty, because it's blatantly obvious that the judge does not like Ty one bit at all. But why would the judge think that Ty would be in any way responsible for this? We'll get to that in a minute. I did say, although I am jumping ahead a little bit with that, I did want to show the threats themselves that he was sent by the police. We'll go there first. This one was sent by email to the court. The letter reads, "Hello, I just wanted to let you know that Judge Chupp is a brain-dead moron, and I sincerely hope that someone falsely accuses him of rape. You are the cause of school shootings. You are the causes of suicides. You are the cause of injustice and hate and violence. Judge Chupp just let a group of open criminals go free. Shame on your kangaroo court. When people start uprising, I hope your court is the first being targeted. Yeah, I believe it. This is something that that people from I Stand With Vic would say. Going down here, there's a series of tweets by this one person, Rever. No idea who this guy is. Obviously, he's wisely, I guess, quotation marks, using an anonymous account so he can hide his identity. Wisely, quote unquote, because, you know, what he's doing here is pretty fucking illegal. He says, butthurt made the wrong word for it. It's more like disillusioned. The strong reminder that justice only leaves the bearer of a gun. Of course, if that court case is denied, then guns are the next best thing. Who said anything about committing murder? When the state fails to defend its citizens, it's only natural that the citizens take care of themselves. It would be a justified kill, and the person doing it can even get annulled for the act of killing and found not guilty for murder. If you're absolutely sure that the judge was honest, then there should be nothing to worry about. But you haven't even convinced me, let alone any potential shooters. Don't worry, maybe we were outsmarted, but I've yet to see anyone outsmart Bullet. This is not Infinity War. That's the... Oh wait, let's see, this one got cut off here. Here it is. That is not Infinity War. That's the appeals. Shooting the defendants is endgame. Chupp's become... This guy is so cringe. That is just so cringy. I can't... This guy... I mean, I think this may have... I mean, the jokes about, like, you know, Shadow the Hedgehog and all that, Ow the Edge might be there, but this may have been the guy who created or was, like, the biggest fan of Shadow the Hedgehog. Wouldn't surprise me at all. In fact, if this guy got doxxed, it wouldn't surprise me if it was discovered that he and Nicholas Cruz guys were in some message board making the edgiest posts ever. This is not Infinity War. That's the appeals. Shooting the defendants is endgame. Chupp's becoming a clear example as to why God's judgment should be reintroduced. We'll see if anyone agrees with your notion after the trial's over, but I reckon a graveyard will be the defendant's new home very soon. And those are the death threats there. Now, do I think that most people in I Stand With Vic are like this? Probably not to this degree. I don't think that most of them are murderous. I don't think most of them would send death threats, but yeah, there's at least a couple of them that would. And there's probably more than that. In fact, as proof of this, there's some really exceptional and extreme reactions that Kiwi Farms has dug up. And I'll gladly show this thread here. Let's see. Here's from the judge's Facebook page. Charlie Waldy says, man, way to side against Vic Mignogna case. He had all the evidence that there was conspiracy, and yet you basically gave him the loss? I might have to vote you out when the elections start. There is tons of evidence there is a conspiracy against him, all because he is a white Christian male. Clearly a woman, and this is from David Harlow, clearly a woman who faked not receiving a jury summons letter despite clear evidence to the contrary, and laughed about it is innocent, because you say so. You're such an inspiring judge. Hey, while we're at it, you mind letting Manfred von Karma go when he doesn't want any bullets extracted from his body because ballistic markings is an irrelevant point about a murder by a pistol? And Yossi L has a couple of posts here. I hope Tarrant County shows you judges who places the real judgment. Your corruption is fleeting and your time is up. You are biased, bigoted pig. And Vic has clear claims against Funimation, Monica Rial, and all those other fools. My question is, why would you help them? Do they have something on you? Do you just have this natural bias against attractive men? That's not, by the way, that's totally not homosexual at all. He has the most straight, masculine demeanor when he said that. Desperate for female attention that you will forgo ethics and empathy? Or does Funimation have more reach than we think? If so, they are tyrannical, and by all means, we have right to use force to subdue these tyrants. Oh, you can add 3 to the list of people making death threats against the judge. Classy. You so quickly shut down Ty Beard. When you started, are the statements made by Monica Rial, Ron Toya, and Chris Sabat true? Ty Beard replies with, yes, on some statements, but it matters the context. As a judge, and would you ask to celebrate on said context? However, you did not. You are clearly biased and unfit for your position. If your judgment requirements only blanket statements without context, then you are a fool. Wow, such wonderful and exceptional individuals we have there. I think there's a couple more I'll read off. Here's one from Twitter. Charlie Waldy has an idea that's been floating around a bit on Nick's Discord. I stand with Vic on this case. Hashtag I stand with Vic. Oh, this case was dead before arrival. If you live in Texas, time to vote his ass out when the elections come up. And I do mean Nick's Discord is full of gay ops trying to plan a campaign to go ahead and get this guy unelected. Yeah, great going, guys. That's a real mature and reasonable response that is totally neurotypical to respond to this situation. A judge gives a ruling you don't like. Now, here's the thing. These statements, these comments, these death threats, everyone knows they're retarded and make I Stand with Vic look bad. That not even the e-celebs that are on the I Stand with Vic side are supporting this. Like you have Yellow Flash calling these people out and Emosh calling them out. These are 2 I Stand with Vic YouTubers. That's pretty much all they do. Although I think Yellow Flash also does some gay Comicsgate stuff. And this is also why this Kiwi Farms thread was made, which I was actually a little bit surprised by this, to be honest, because for the most part, Kiwi Farms has been dead set on supporting Vic as a whole. Not every single person there believes that, of course, but that doesn't matter. Like, as a whole, in general, you go to any thread, it's full of this blatant, just support, a blind support of Vic, Ty, and Nick. So, seeing this thread come out in response to this shows that that is not going to be the case forever. And if the Kiwis start to pick on Vic Mignogna fans and Nick Rekieta supporters for sport, they're pretty much fucked. Like, it'll be fun to watch them eat each other alive, but yeah, they'll be fucked, for sure. Okay. Aside from that... Right, now what would be the cause of this, though? Like, what would inspire or encourage an extreme reaction like this that makes such a reaction that would make a lot of deranged people blush, because this is just a court case over some millionaire getting disinvited from some cons and losing his job, losing a couple of jobs. Like, yeah, let's assume that's unfair. Let's just assume that's wholly undeserved. Is this an appropriate reaction to this? Well, I got a guy here who will comment on that in just a second. Let's see. Okay, let me just paste the link. Okay, so this is a couple of clips taken from a live stream Nick did. It will show you the timestamp in the corner over here. And let's take a listen. Take a little gander.
Automata says, I saw some of the responses to Vic's announcement as appearing at that Irish con. Right away, there were responses calling him evil and dangerous to be around children. Even now, I find that mildly shocking. Yeah, of course. It is. It's not mildly shocking. It's very shocking that these people are still that vindictive.
There is literally no evidence whatsoever. Right? This is just crap these lunatics have made up.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
sorry. It
pisses
me off.
Imagine, if you will, being a literal nobody, which all of us have been literal nobodies at some point in time, but latching your life on the idea of destroying someone who other people like. Now imagine that when you act on that, you suddenly have an impact that you've never had before. Imagine that you've never ever had an impact on anything, and suddenly you lying gives you an inordinate amount of power over someone successful. That is an intoxicating drug for these people. So a little lie becomes a bigger lie, becomes a bigger lie. Suddenly it's, I was at a con and Vic was mean to someone. Then it's, well, I was at this con and Vic assaulted me. Then it's, well, I was at this con and Vic assaulted a minor. Well, produce some proof of that. Oh, well, I don't have it anymore. Okay. That's your first clue that person is lying. Okay. Assault of a minor is not, think about how revolted you are by assault of a minor, and then try and put yourself in the headspace of someone who would not only not cover that up, or would not report it, but would cover it up and then lose the evidence. Like, think of who that person is. Are we trusting this person?
Yeah.
It's insane. It's insane.
Okay, so that first part you heard was Nick ranting and using a bit of armchair psychology to talk about some people apparently wanted Vic not to appear at a certain convention. Of course, he just generalizes and says that this is what was happening. I don't know the details of the specific convention, so so it's even safe to assume that Nick is correct in this. That's not really the point of that part. But this is Ty's take on what Nick just said and the events that happened that led some people to try to get Vic disinvited from a convention.
I'm pulling this up right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They're lying. Okay, they're lying. This stuff is, and kudos, I assume, to the Dublin con for not giving in to these people. But this is, there's another side point of this too. I was talking about this with my daughters earlier this week, but over the weekend. When you go out and you try to destroy people's livelihoods, okay, their ability to make a living, sooner or later, you lunatics are going to do that to somebody who's going to take a gun and blow your head off. Okay, it's not going to happen in this case or anything like that. But law of averages, and I'm going to say this just myself, you'll get exactly what you deserve. You get exactly what you deserve. You guys are playing with fire, and you're too stupid and fanatical to understand that. But I'll tell you right now, myself personally, somebody wrecked my ability to feed my family over some lies because they disagreed with my politics or they just didn't like me or they were jealous. I guarantee you, I'd probably not be able to resist the urge to put one right between your eyes. And I'd sleep like a baby the night I did it. Because the thing is, when you go around destroying people's ability to make a living, you're effectively destroying them. You people are horrible. Those
really
that are doing this. You're just disgusting.
I've said the same thing. At some point, when you take away someone's ability to earn income, and it's not like these allegations just remove you from the field you're in. This type of stuff follows you place to place, and suddenly someone can't get a job anywhere, and it's all based on someone's dire need to be mad at someone for not signing their artwork or whatever stupid reason they have, their own pet project of justice. You take away people's ability to take a living, and eventually, what do they have? What do they have to lose?
I'll tell you right now, you don't want me on the grand jury. Deciding the fate of someone who has capped somebody who lied and ruined their lives. Because I'll no-bill him in a heartbeat. Because the way I see it, you got what you deserved. I mean, we're letting idiot children run around with dynamite. That's what we're doing. I mean, that's the level of risk that we're engaged here. And we got to figure out a way to put a stop to it.
Yep.
If we're going to have a civilized country and a society, we've got to figure out a way to put a stop to it. We're trying to do our part. I never really saw myself as a crusader. I just saw myself as a lawyer doing a job.
Right.
But, you know, it's just loathsome.
Well, that escalated quickly. There's Ty Beard. Ty Beard is saying that if someone was to lie about him and to get him fired from his position and threaten the livelihood of his family, etc., like, for example, getting disinvited from a con if you're a high-profile entertainer, he'd probably kill you. He would take justice into his own hands and probably murder you. That's what he just said, and then Nick goes, yeah, you're right, that's right. And then Ty Beard also goes on to say that not only would he probably do that, he also said that if somebody else did that, he would probably go ahead and let them off the hook for it if he had the power to do so. Because it would be completely justified in his opinion. So why would people be under the impression or thinking that, gee, it's a good idea, people on the I Stand With Vic side, or should I say Nick Rekieta's audience in particular, why would they say it's a good idea to go ahead and make death threats to a judge? Yeah, it's activating some almonds there. Not gonna lie. It's like there's a cause and effect to these things, and they're not unrelated. It's almost like this kind of vitriolic kind of rhetoric that overblows and exaggerates the situation to ridiculous and ludicrous degrees brings people to thinking that not being able to tell the difference between what's anime and what's real life, like as the judge had said. And I find it interesting the judge has said that he wants the anime community to heal, that he doesn't want this to continue, etc. And it's like, it's just like, this is just dumb. It really is. It's really dumb that Ty didn't think twice before saying something like this. Like, it's not going to make your case, it's not going to help your case, it's going to weaken it. It's not going to make, so it's going to make you look bad to the judge in the first part. And it's also not going to, it's not a good look, period. Because people are going to look at that and say, yeah, that's an issue. Now, of course, you could debate and argue it like till the cows come home if like Ty inspired people to make death threats or not. But you would think that someone like in Ty's position wouldn't make himself look out to be the bad guy like that. And what else is there? But yeah, and so what does this relate to with the hearing for mediation? I think Judge got wind that Ty was saying some stupid shit on a live stream, and he decided to push this right in front of his face to say, as kind of like a fuck you to him. That's my take on that. In addition, I don't think that I know for a fact that any of there's no sign, indication, or cue that the judge will change his mind at all, in any way, whatever, when it comes to the already ruled on motions that have been decided by the judge. Sorry, the claims that the judge dismissed will stay dismissed. And further, it's looking very, very likely that the judge will keep the current claims against. He will also dismiss the current claims that are still outstanding. That's the reason that I think that is because the only reason for this mediation is to basically give Vic a chance to go ahead and not have to face as much consequences as he would if the judge dismisses all the rulings. Because according to the TCPA, everything that gets dismissed, Vic will have to pay for everything, and that is all the defense attorney fees, etc. In addition to that, not only will he have to pay the defendant's attorney fees, but also he will be sanctioned for what they're being sanctioned as well. And you can go look up the TCPA. It says that specifically. In fact, this one's a bit more arguable, but it specifically says that each specific claim must be shown to have clear and specific evidence to it. Each element of each claim. And the big problem here that I'm seeing is that when it comes to the element of proving actual malice, Ty didn't show any evidence that suggested that the defendants knowingly lied. That's the standard for actual malice. They have to show that they knowingly lied or had severe doubts that what they were saying was truthful. And if Nick is saying, and it doesn't surprise me at all that Nick is saying that's a good thing. Vic could get run over by a train And Nick Rekieta would say that's a good thing. Because Nick needs people to believe in the Kickstarter, and he needs people to keep on giving him more donations. That's all there is to it. And I guarantee, and don't make no mistake, the reason why there were 4 lawyers who knew jack shit about defamation at the hearing, the reason why that was, is very, very simple. He wanted to raise the money up he wanted to sick Vic with more legal fees. They didn't help in any way at all. So that's that. Let's see what else is there that I want to talk about today. That's pretty much it, I guess. Like, I don't really again, the mediation's not really going to help. Also, we got, I guess I'll read it off from the chat for a bit. I might show something funny in a second. Oh, wait, there is one more thing before I do that. Give me a moment. Let's see. Right, so there was also one other thing that was brought up. The judge mentioned that Jamie Marchi would be back here in 3 months if they didn't go through mediation, work something out for it, because it's very, very likely Ty will appeal the case if it's thrown out. Now, what some people have interpreted this as is that this is evidence that the judge will throw out the remaining claims. Here's my issue with that. While it makes logical sense for that to be the case, because for those who know TCPA law or have a brief knowledge of it, Vic can't appeal some of the charges until after all the charges have been... Vic can't appeal the judge's rulings until all the claims have been resolved. Because of this, because Vic can't... which means that if only some of the claims are granted while some of the claims are dismissed, that's a really bad position for Vic to be in, because it will mean that all the claims that are dismissed will be unappealable until the claims are still ongoing are determined by a judge. Here's the thing, though. I don't know if the judge is aware of that court ruling that determined that. He might not be. A judge isn't aware of every single ruling of every single case that's ever happened. That's just a fact of the matter. So it could just be that the reason he said that, and he also said that it was possible that Jamie Marchi would be back in another 3 months. Not that it was guaranteed. So it's possible. So that means that he might dismiss the remaining claims, or he might not. That's not really a good indication. What are good indications, though, that the judge is going to dismiss the remaining claims are the fact that the judge in this hearing, said that the case should say he doesn't really care for this. He more or less said he can't. What was it? The judge specifically said that this really wasn't a legal matter. This was something that was beyond the legalities, legal proceedings. That this is just a waste of everyone's time. And he said this He said he asked specifically at one point, "What are we doing here?" And that was way back in June. And he also said in this hearing that I know there was a part where he said specifically that, like I remember that he specifically said in this hearing that this wasn't really that this case wasn't worth anyone's time. This should have been handled differently, which means that he doesn't really think that the case is really worth suing in the first place, that this matter could have been settled outside the courts or resolved in one way or another outside the courts. And frankly, I believe he's correct. I don't see any real good arguments that justify this case. I don't really see any good arguments that would see this case being a win. That's the thing here. The only way this would be a win is if Ty and Nick actually did the actually forget Nick. Nick says that he's not his lawyer, so no, let's not forget Nick, because here's the thing. Another thing about Nick is that it is 100% the case that he is coaching Ty. 100%. You can say, well, John, we don't really have evidence. No. He's coaching Ty, because everything Nick says on his streams, Ty argues for. And everything Ty argues for, Nick defends. That this is not a kind of a touch and go kind of thing where they're just passing notes to each other and then Ty's just glancing over it a little bit. No, Nick is giving Ty instructions of what to argue in court. And I'd love to see the correspondence between those two two knuckleheads, because I guarantee that's the case. There's just no doubt about it. Here's the thing to consider. it's very well possible that Nick or Ty have one or the other employed as an attorney to cover their asses just in case anything should come up between them. Because then they can just claim, oh, well, you can't access those messages between us, Your Honor, because that's attorney-client privilege. In fact, Nick has used that before to dismiss, has used the line attorney-client privilege to dismiss queries about what Ty Beard is doing with all the money. Now, why would that apply to Nick? I thought he was protected under Minnesota shield laws. Unless there's something else going on there. Not an exact theory, I know, but certainly possible. And in addition to that, alright, and another indication with this hearing that this isn't going to go well for Ty is, again, the fact that he's bringing these death threats from the I stand with Vic's side and slap them right in front of Ty's face, and the fact that he's telling them that they should watch their back. It's very, very clear to me that the judge isn't buying any of the sovereign citizen shit that Nick is pumping out, that the things that Nick and Ty have been saying are retarded, that they've been proven retarded in court, like on pretty much everything. And all the damage control, all the spin, none of this is going to give you a refund. You're out of $250,000 that you gave to a millionaire who could have had a lot better time just waiting for the whole thing to blow over. And people are like, oh, well, that's never going to go away. This year, Vic Mignogna made over $150,000. And I'm not going to believe that it's because the lawsuit was helping him out. I'm just going to flat out say that people still like Vic Mignogna despite all the allegations. In fact, no, I will state for a fact that the majority of people, the people who liked Vic Mignogna before the allegations, still like Vic Mignogna for the most part to this day. There's just very few people that are actually really hating him. So Vic Mignogna still has a lucrative career ahead of himself, especially with all that money he made. Oh wait, Nick is saying that these threats, at least the ones posted in the Dallas article, aren't threats, they fall under freedom of speech. I don't believe anything that Nick says when it comes to law at face value anymore. If Nick says if Nick wants to provide sources to this, that's fine. He could be right, he could be wrong. The thing is though, he might be, actually in this case he might be right because threats have to be very, very specific. However, it does not matter if they're legally protected as freedom of speech. The fact of the matter is, they're still death threats. You can say that, oh, well, they're not legally actionable. The intent of the message is clear. If Nick is saying that, oh, well, they're technically legal, that's not a good argument. So, and then also there's a couple of other messages in the chat. A guy with a live audience of 4 to 12,000 misrepresents him and doesn't allow him to jump on stream to sell the score. I'd say it's enough to warrant an interest. Yeah, well put. Honestly, Nick could probably beat me in a debate if he really wanted to. He probably could. But the thing is, he won't do that simply because there's a fear. There's a fear in Nick's mind that if I make one or two good points, it will persuade people to think twice before believing him the next time he says something. And that's worse than any of the shit talk I could possibly give him. So that's why he won't debate. That's why he won't come here and debate. That's why he won't have me there to debate. That's why he has to have his butt buddy Drexel being used as a prop to basically say, hey, Drexel, go argue with this guy for me. Because Nick's afraid. Nick can't do things himself. Anyway, all right, I don't want to keep the stream on for too long. I thought I would, I did have some other stuff planned for other things that Nick has said, but there's been some updates here that I wanted to get out of the way first. So I'll try to get to that other stuff tomorrow, particularly involving Nick claiming that, oh, well, the judge improperly dismissed motions against torturous interference. Nick is just, honestly, again, I've said this before, don't take Nick at face value. He's not always wrong, but his track record for being wrong is so great that you shouldn't blindly believe him, and his lawyer credentials are moot. He has a very biased interest in this case. He has a financial interest in this case, and he has a financial and biased interest in everything he says because as a YouTuber who's a law splainer, he has to keep his audience attached to him. And he's not the type of person who can just take having done something wrong easily. When he gets something wrong, he always tries to shift and avoid that and go to something else. That's why he won't read. That's why he didn't do a stream last night. That's why he wouldn't do a stream on the hearing right away, if he did at all. In fact, I don't believe that Nick has read the transcript because he does not want his followers to read the transcript. Because if they did read the transcript, they would be persuaded that, yeah, it's a rational inference that Ty Beard's a moron. That's their conclusion. All right. That's going to be it. I hope you all found the stream a little bit entertaining, a little bit enlightening, whichever you found it. And I'll try. Also, I know I keep promising streams and not doing them, so I'm just not going to announce streams anymore. But I will say that the next stream will be soon. And since we only got until October 3rd with this, actually October 4th, maybe a little bit after. Yeah, I'm going to try to get as many as possible before the judge ultimately rules in the TCPA. My prediction is still at the judge. Okay, I should also probably say how. Now, when it comes to the mediation, I'm not sure how it's going to play out. The judge wants everyone there. The judge wants them all to sort it out. I don't think it's in the interest of the defendants to let Vic off the hook. I don't think that a settlement is really in their interest to pursue, unless the settlement is disclosed to the public and Vic makes some kind of really grand apology. Then they might have Vic give a settlement in their favor, which would be less damaging than if the judge rules that Vic has to pay the attorney fees and sanctions on top of that. In particular, I don't think Jamie Marchi should just... Honestly, Jamie Marchi's lawyer is right. Why does he have to be there? The judge already dismissed the charges. Sorry, dismissed the claims. And the judge said that he would have a bigger bargaining chip there. The whole thing with the threats of appeals. Now, the judge is concerned that the appeals might be over, that his rulings can be appealed. But there's an issue. You can't bring new evidence on an appeal in this case. It can't be done. You have to use the existing evidence that was already submitted to the court. Ty Beard is fucked in that department. An appeal is an empty threat. They have nothing. So, I think the mediation is... but at the same time, though, Ty and Nick are dead set on making sure appeals go through. Because that way they can keep the GoFundMe going as long as possible. That way they can that way Nick has more Vic-related content because Vic's a hot topic. He's going to have Vic on as much as he possibly can. Or at least he's going to be talking about Vic as much as he can. And that means more money for him. So keeping this controversy going is in Nick's interest. In fact, I'm even going to go as far as to say that it doesn't matter for Nick Rekieta, it doesn't matter if Vic wins or loses at all. What matters to him is that he can milk that cow for as much cash as possible. That's all he's interested in at the end of the day. Now that the Nickler has run off and stopped streaming, who will read all the little Nicklet's bedtime stories? I imagine that if Nick was to lose relevance, if the Vic Mignogna cash cow was to burst and Nick didn't have anything to talk about, and people just recognize that he's full of shit, I'm not sure. I think that the Vic, I don't think that the I Stand With Vic guys are ever going to stop, trying to go after Funimation. It'll probably peter out the same way Gamergate did. And the similarities are very, very striking. It's a very similar thing. It's not to the same scale. Specifics are different. And how it's being handled is different as well. But I see it lasting I see a small community existing for at least a year or two. The majority of them, though, will probably drop off. Also, hello to Blood Edge in the chat, and Axis Fiverr as well. Yeah. Okay, so I think that's it for tonight. Again, I'll try to do a stream tomorrow, but I'm not promising anything. I'm really bad. I guess this is one of the streams. I guess this is one of the themes of the channel. I can't ever get a stream going when I say it's going to happen. So I'm going to say, all right, just a brief recap because someone asked. I just went over the transcript for mediation, the order for mediation that the judge ruled on, and and there's going to be a mediator that will take all the parties involved in the case, sit them down, and try to work out a deal or something like that in benefit of one party or the other. I personally don't think the mediation is going to work. I think this is like a last-minute save for Vic and Ty to basically surrender, which is basically their best option here. Their best option is to acquiesce to their terms, to the terms of the defendants, because the defendants have the upper hand. There's no doubt about it. And that will be happening on October 3rd, or maybe sooner. But probably not, because one guy has a vacation somewhere. And then the judge says he would rule on it on the October 4th. So we got about 2 more weeks before that happens. And then after that, we'll see what happens from there. All right. I'm going to end the stream here. I don't want this one to go on for too long. And like I said, I'll try to do a stream tomorrow night. I can't promise it, though. So stay tuned, and I'll keep you posted on that. Have a good night, y'all.